Igwe Adimora sat on his majestic throne, exuding authority and wisdom. Beside him stood Ugo, his chief warrior, a figure of strength and loyalty. The grand hall was adorned with rich tapestries and intricate carvings, reflecting the kingdom's wealth and culture. Nneka, the handmaiden, entered the hall with Princess Obioma. She announced, Igwe, your daughter Princess Obioma, with a grace befitting her royal status. Obioma knelt before her father. Nna ukwu, I greet you, she said with reverence. Igwe Adimora responded warmly. Obioma, is there something troubling you? Obioma raised her head, her eyes filled with a mix of concern and determination. I dreamt last night, Igwe. A great warrior from a neighboring land arrived, seeking your audience. The king raised an eyebrow, intrigued. A dream, you say? She nodded solemnly. He was strong and brave, with a heart full of pride. Ugo, always alert to potential threats and alliances, stepped forward. Perhaps a prince from a neighboring town seeks an alliance, Igwe. Igwe Adimora pondered this, stroking his chin thoughtfully. It is possible. We have had talks with Owerri for a potential marriage pact. Obioma's eyes widened with concern. Owerri? But what of Ebele? Prince Ebele, the king responded, his tone measured. He is a fine young man, but the needs of the kingdom come first. An alliance with Owerri will bring peace and prosperity. Obioma stood, her heart heavy with the weight of duty. But father, Igwe Ademora interrupted, his voice firm. This is not up for discussion, Obioma. You will prepare yourself to meet the prince. With Nneka's help, Obioma left the hall, her mind racing with thoughts of the future. Once they were alone, Ugo spoke in a low voice. Are you certain about this alliance, Igwe? Owerri's reputation is not spotless. Igwe Adimora dismissed the concerns with a wave of his hand. We need their resources, Ugo. Besides, rumors are just that. Rumors. At that moment, a horn was blown outside the palace, signaling the arrival of the visitor. Igwe Adimara straightened his robes, preparing for the meeting. Ugo exited the hall to greet the guest. The grand hall was soon filled with the presence of King Odumegu and his son, Prince Ebele. Ugo stood beside the throne, a silent guardian. Odumegu approached Igwe Adimara, bowing respectfully. Igwe Adimara, greetings. I bring greetings from the land of Owerri. Igwe Adimara returned the greeting warmly. King Odumegu, welcome. You honor us with your presence. Odumegu gestured to his son. This is my son, Prince Ebele. Ebele bowed with a cautious smile. Igwe Adimora, he said. Prince Ebele, you are most welcome, the king replied, indicating seats for his guest. They all sat, and Odumegu spoke first, his voice resonating with the weight of diplomacy. As you know, Igwe, our two kingdoms have enjoyed a long period of peace, but times are changing. There are whispers of war in the distant lands. Igwe Adimora nodded. Indeed, we must be prepared. Odumegu leaned forward, his expression earnest. An alliance between Ogbunike and Owerri will be a force to be reckoned with. Not only will it ensure our mutual safety, but it would also bring great prosperity to both our people. Igwe Ademara saw the wisdom in these words. I see the wisdom in your words, King Odumegu. Odumegu smiled, sensing the king's agreement. Excellent. Then perhaps We can discuss the terms of this alliance further. Perhaps even a betrothal between our children." The king hesitated, the weight of this decision pressing upon him. "A betrothal? That is a matter that requires careful consideration." Odumegu pressed gently. "Of course. But surely Princess Obioma would be a worthy match for Prince Ebele." Ebele cleared his throat, adding, "I have heard much of Princess Obioma's beauty and grace." Igwe Adimora glanced at Ugo, who frowned slightly, his reservations evident. The king turned back to Odumegu. "We shall discuss this further, perhaps over a celebratory meal this evening." Odumegu nodded in agreement. "A splendid idea, Igwe." The grand hall of the palace buzzed with activity. Servants scurried to prepare the evening feast, their voices a low murmur against the pounding of drums. King Adimora watched his daughter Obioma from a distance. Her usually vibrant eyes were clouded with worry. "Obioma," he said gently, approaching her. Obioma turned, a flicker of defiance in her gaze. "Father, this alliance with Owerri, it feels wrong." "Why do you say that, child?" "There are rumors, whispers about Odumegu's ruthlessness, and Ebele." She trailed off, her voice laced with unease. King Adimora sighed. "There will always be whispers, Obioma. And as for Ebere, you haven't even spoken to him yet. Perhaps your heart will change after you meet him properly." Obioma remained unconvinced. Ebele's arrogant demeanor during the earlier meeting did little to ease her anxieties. Yet, she knew it was her duty to consider the kingdom's well-being. The arrival of Odumegu and his son broke the tense silence. Ebele, adorned in elaborate clothing and heavy jewelry, gave Obioma a curt nod. The princess, dressed in simpler garments that accentuated her natural beauty, returned the gaze with a cool smile. The feast was a lavish affair, a stark contrast to the growing unease within Obioma. Chief Odumegu boasted of Owerri's military prowess, while Ebele spoke of his supposed battlefield victories, his voice dripping with self-importance. Obioma found it difficult to reconcile this image with the strong and honorable warrior from her dream. Later that evening, as the guests retired for the night, Obioma found herself wandering through the palace gardens. The air was heavy with the scent of night jasmine, a stark contrast to the turmoil in her heart. Suddenly, a deep voice startled her. "Lost in thought, princess?" Obioma turned to see Ugo, the chief warrior, standing behind her. Relief washed over her. Ugo was a man of honor and integrity, someone she could confide in. "Ugo," she sighed. "This alliance with Owerri, I don't trust them." Ugo's brow furrowed. "I share your concerns, princess. Odumegu's reputation precedes him. And Ebele," Obioma continued, "he seems more interested in boasting than anything else." Ugo nodded. "He lacks the qualities of a true warrior. But what can I do?" Obioma pleaded. "Father seems determined to go through with this alliance." Ugo fell silent for a moment, his eyes fixed on the moonlit sky. "There may be a way," he said finally, his voice low. "But it is a dangerous path." Obioma's heart pounded in her chest. "What kind of path, Ugo?" Ugo leaned closer, his voice barely a whisper. "There's an ancient Igbo tradition, a challenge known as Ikwe, the test of valor. If a suitor is deemed unfit, the princess can issue this challenge. The suitor must face a warrior chosen by her in single combat. If he wins, the marriage proceeds. If he loses," he trailed off, letting the implication hang heavy in the air. Obioma's breath caught in her throat. The idea of a duel was terrifying, Yet, it offered a glimmer of hope. But who would fight for me? Ebele seems more suited to boasting than battling. A wide smile touched Ugo's lips. Perhaps the princess underestimates her options. There are warriors in Obunike who value honor above all else. Obiama's eyes widened. Ugo, you wouldn't. Ugo knelt on one knee, his gaze unwavering. For Obunike princess, and perhaps for a chance to see your true feelings reflected in your eyes. Obiama's heart hammered against her ribs. Ugo's loyalty and unspoken affection were a balm to her anxieties. Yet, the thought of him risking his life for her sake, filled her with dread. Ugo, it's too dangerous. What if you... I am a warrior princess, he interrupted gently, and I believe in what is right. If this alliance weakens Obunike, then it must be stopped. Obioma knew she couldn't argue further. A fire of determination ignited within her. Then let us do this, she declared, her voice firm. We will expose Ebele for who he truly is and protect Obunike. News of the Ikwego spread like wildfire through the palace. Odumegu, outraged by this challenge, demanded an audience with the king. The normally stoic King Adimora found himself caught between his desire for peace and his daughter's well-being. This is madness, Obioma, he roared during a tense meeting. A duel? What were you thinking? Thinking of Obunike, father, Obioma countered, her voice surprisingly steady. This alliance reeks of deceit. Ebele is not worthy. King Adimora studied his daughter, a flicker of pride warring with his anger. He saw the same unwavering spirit that resided within him, the same spirit that refused to bend to injustice. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he considered. Very well, he announced to the assembled court. The Ikwego shall proceed. May the strongest warrior prevail. The news reached Owerri, sending shock waves through the kingdom. Odumegu, furious at the challenge, threatened war if his son was injured. Ebele, however, saw this as an opportunity to prove himself, a chance to silence his critics and secure the princess's hand. The day of the duel arrived, a tense silence gripping the palace grounds. A large crowd gathered to witness the spectacle. Obioma, clad in a simple white dress, stood beside her father, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Across from them stood Ebele, clad in gleaming armor, a sneer twisting his features. Then a hush fell over the crowd as Ugo emerged, his face grim but resolute. He raised his spear in a warrior's salute, his gaze meeting Obioma's for a fleeting moment. In that look, she saw not just courage, but a silent promise, a promise to fight for her, for Obunike, and for their unspoken bond. The clash of steel echoed through the arena as the duel commenced. Ebele, fueled by arrogance, attacked with reckless abandon. Ugo, however, countered with practiced skill and unwavering focus. The battle raged on, a dance of death under the watchful gaze of the midday sun. As the fight progressed, it became clear that Ebele's boasts were just that, boasts. Ugo, his movements honed by the years of experience, slowly gained the upper hand. Finally, with a swift maneuver, he disarmed Ebele, the tip of his spear hovering dangerously close to the prince's throat. Silence descended upon the crowd. Ebele, his face flushed with humiliation, stammered a surrender. Shamefaced, he retreated from the arena, followed by a furious Chief Odumegu. King Adimora, relief washing over his features, declared Ugo the victor. The crowd erupted in cheers, celebrating the princess's courage and the warrior's skill. Obioma, her eyes glistening with tears of joy, rushed to Ugo's side. He lowered his spear, a a weary smile gracing his lips, and hugged him tightly. In that moment, the unspoken truth between them hung heavy in the air.